So we're now going to have a go at some laid work here, Jacobean laid work. So on this alphabet one here, you can see there we lay vertical and horizontal stitches, and then we couch those down. So to begin that, to have a go with, we will, because they are mostly done in the center of flowers, we draw a circle. What we're going to do is create vertical stitches about 1/2 centimetre apart. So I'm going to do that now. The sample that I've got here I did with 6 ends of embroidery floss, but again you can use however many ends that you like. So with doing it with a circle, it will feel a little bit trickier than sort of practicing it in a square, but you'll get an idea of how it can be used at the center of a flower. So I've done one vertical stitch quite close to the edge there of the circle, and then I've gone top to bottom, and then I'm coming up bottom to top. So what I'm doing is only carrying the thread a short way on the back of the fabric, so it's not using up lots of thread on the back of our work. So top to bottom, bottom to top. So we'll complete that with a circle. So now what I'm going to do is the horizontal stitches. So I've done all the vertical stitches there. So a bit trickier there to start off. So if I go back down towards the bottom here of the circle, and I can go right to left, and then come up left to right, about a 1/2 centimetre gap again. So I'm just laying over these threads, and then right to left. Often, to give the definition of these shapes in laid work, people will do a stem or a chain stitch, even a delicate chain stitch round the edge to give that definition of the shape. Left to right, right to left. So all I've got on the back is sort of a running stitch. I think that's enough there on that one. So I'll tie that off. And now with another colour, I'm going to couch those down. So now I've threaded up with another colour. What I'm going to do is anchor down at every point that the stitches cross, to the lines cross, to hold them down. So if I start up here in the top right hand corner, I'm just going to come up to the right of the first cross and take it diagonally over to the bottom left of where it's crossed. So that anchors down the thread. I'll then go on to the next cross. So come out in the top right over to the left, and I'm just doing a small stitch to start with. Again, this is something that can be played with. You can do these diagonal lines longer if you want to. So I'm keeping them all the same way, diagonally over there. And then I'll come up and do the next row down. So I might just take them so I go from the bottom left to the right. It's still giving the same angle going over the intersections there. So it's just holding down all these little grids and pulling them into shape. So I'll carry on like that. So once you've done all your diagonals, you do have the option to cross stitch over those. So the ones towards the bottom I did as a slightly bigger diagonal. So we're just going to go back over those, but this time bottom right, top left. So it's a little cross stitch. So you can just leave the diagonal stitches or have the crosses. The crosses do look really quite nice and decorative. If you do enjoy doing the laid work and the Jacobean laid work, there's so many other patterns you can try. This is the simpler one that we've started with today, and you can almost see more detail here. So I did the vertical and horizontal stitches. I've got some just diagonals. I've got cross stitches in the 6 ends of thread. And then here I've done smaller cross stitches in a pearl cotton. So if you do a larger cross stitch, you can see there it sort of encroaches on the grid, and the pattern looks different. Whereas here, if I do a really small one, you see the individual squares more towards the end. And then what you can do is, if there is the space, because you've done smaller cross stitches or your grid's slightly wider, is pop in things like little French knots in areas, or also lazy daisy stitches would sometimes be placed in. There is also other ways of doing it where rather than just vertical and horizontal, you do diagonals as well in both ways, or just in one way. So there's lots and lots of different patterns, but the sort of most straightforward one to start with is just this horizontal and vertical lines.